You know the plant I'm talking about. You've spent a lifetime stepping on it, probably cursing it for cracking your driveway, and definitely ripping it out of your lawn. You've probably even spent good money on chemicals designed specifically to kill it. And yet, this plant is arguably the single most successful weed in history. It survives where your fancy turf grass wouldn't last a single day. But what if? What if we've been getting it all wrong this whole time?
What if I told you that this plant you've been fighting is basically a first aid kit, just encoded in a leaf? That it was a sacred herb, once believed to be a gift from the gods? Well, this is the story of Broadleaf Plantain, the king of the driveway, and the story of the chemical warfare that turned a sacred healer into a suburban enemy.
To us, today, it's this, a nuisance. We see it as this stubborn invader that just forces its way through the cracks in our concrete, a sign of neglect.
And in our yards, oh, it's the invader, for sure. It's that flat, broad-leafed plant that messes up the perfect, uniform green carpet that we've all been taught to want. It just doesn't belong in that picture-perfect suburban lawn.
Yeah, it's been branded as the enemy, public enemy number one for pretty much every homeowners association in the country. We've totally demonized it, turning what people used to call nature's Band-Aid into just an ugly intruder.
But okay, let's just peel back that modern marketing for a second. Let's look under the microscope, because inside those simple leaves is a chemical profile that makes it, I would argue, the most useful first aid plant on the entire planet.
You see, the secret weapon of plantain is this compound called allantoin. It's what scientists call a cell proliferant, which in plain English means it tells your cells to regenerate and multiply, and to do it fast. This is the exact active ingredient you find in high-end anti-aging creams, expensive burn treatments, and all sorts of wound-healing ointments. And while you pay top dollar for a synthetic version in a little plastic tube, Plantain just manufactures it for free.
But it doesn't stop there. Plantain is also a really powerful drawing agent, and that's thanks to compounds like a cumin. This stuff gives it its antimicrobial effect and its incredible ability to pull things out of the skin. For centuries, the go-to remedy for a bee sting or a spider bite was a simple spit poultice. You literally just chew up a leaf and slap it on. It was known to stop the pain almost instantly and pull the venom right out of the pore.
So what happens if you actually eat it? Well, its nutritional profile is just as impressive. We all know spinach is a calcium hero, right? Gives you about 99 milligrams per serving. But plantain, it absolutely blows spinach out of the water with nearly double that amount. That's a massive boost for your bone density. Just growing for free.
And what about vitamin A? You know, we eat carrots for beta-carotene to help our vision and immune system. Well, a single serving of plantain leaves provides a huge amount, often more than 4,000 international units. It's a powerhouse. Also loaded with vitamin K for blood clotting, and even a compound that's being studied for its potential to stop muscle atrophy. It's incredible.
So long before it was considered a weed, plantain was a revered healer, and its history is this remarkable journey that literally follows the footsteps of human migration all across the globe.
Back in the Anglo-Saxon world, way before manicured lawns were a thing, it was called waybread, the traveler's guardian. By the 10th century, it was listed in an ancient medical text as the mother of herbs. Roman legions knew its power too. Soldiers would stick the leaves in their sandals on long marches. It was like the original orthopedic insole, preventing blisters. And as they marched, the seeds spread across the known world, eventually traveling to the Americas with European settlers. And when it got there, Native American tribes, who already had this deep knowledge of local plants, they quickly recognized its power. They named it white man's footprint and adopted it into their own medicine to treat wounds and even rattlesnake bites.
This quote from a medical text that's over 1,000 years old, it just says it all. Plantain was seen as the ultimate symbol of resilience. The belief was that because it could survive being literally crushed, it had the power to cure people who were crushed by illness or injury. It's a brilliant way of looking at the world, where a plant's physical nature was a direct clue to its medicinal power.
So how in the world did the mother of herbs, the traveler's guardian, become public enemy number one? Well, the answer is fascinating. It involves the aftermath of World War II, the birth of the chemical lawn, and a really brilliant marketing campaign that created a villain where there wasn't one. So before the 1940s, an American lawn was what we'd now call a polyculture. It was a healthy, diverse mix of stuff: grasses, clover, dandelions, and yep, plantain. This diversity actually kept the soil healthy and fed pollinators. But after the war, a whole new ideal emerged: the monoculture. a sterile, perfectly uniform green carpet made of only one species of grass.
And this new aesthetic was only made possible because of a chemical discovery. During the 1940s, scientists who were developing biological weapons stumbled on a synthetic plant hormone called 2,4-D. And it was a huge breakthrough because it was selective. It kills broadleaf plants like plantain and dandelions by making them grow uncontrollably until they die, but it leaves the narrowleaf grasses completely unharmed. This was the smoking gun.
So all of a sudden, chemical companies had a weapon, but they needed to create an enemy to sell it. Marketing campaigns just exploded in the 1950s, selling this brand new idea of perfection. They demonized everything that wasn't grass. Plantain wasn't waybread anymore. It was an ugly intruder that ruined the visual perfection of the new green carpet ideal.
Today, the cracks in that old narrative are starting to get wider, and plantain is just kind of waiting for us to remember how to use it. So now that you know its true story, let's talk about how you can safely identify and actually use this incredible plant.
Okay, identification is key. I mean, it's everything. The most distinct feature is on the back of the leaf. You'll see 5 to 7 strong veins running parallel to each other, almost like the strings of a tiny harp. This is super unique. The leaves also grow in a flat circle, or a rosette, really close to the ground. But always be careful. While it's distinct, you have to make sure you're not confusing it with something toxic, like a young lily of the valley. When in doubt, just don't use it.
Now, the most practical, immediate way to use it is the spit poultice. I know it sounds a little crude, but it's incredibly effective. If you get stung by a wasp or bitten by a mosquito, just pick a clean leaf, chew it up for a few seconds to release those powerful compounds like allantoin and aucubin, and then just place that green mush directly on the bite. The relief from the itching and pain is almost instant. Okay, and this part is super important. A few crucial safety warnings. Never, ever forage from roadsides or public parks. Plantain is what's called a bioaccumulator, which means it pulls heavy metals from the soil, and those are the areas most likely to be sprayed with pesticides. And it's not for everyone. Because of its historical effects on the uterus, pregnant or breastfeeding women should avoid consuming it. Also, because it's high in vitamin K, which helps blood clot, anyone on blood thinners needs to be cautious. And surprisingly, if you're allergic to melons, you might actually have a cross-reaction.
So, from now on, every time you see plantain growing through a crack in the pavement, I want you to recognize it for what it is. It's a rebel. It's a refusal to be eradicated. It's a reminder that nature often provides the cure right next to the poison. By letting a patch grow in your yard, you're not just being lazy. You're rejecting a sterile, industrial narrative, and you're reclaiming a connection to the land that goes back thousands of years. So, the next time you step outside, look down. The medicine isn't in your cabinet, it's right there under your boot.